Hello everyone. So in our last lecture we have discussed about dielectric material and we have even seen the permeability of dielectric material. Okay, so after that let us just ask you a question. Suppose I have a dielectric slab, okay, and let us consider that this is to be Teflon slab, okay, and this Teflon is given by a susceptibility of 1.1 at some temperature. What can we say about the field inside and the field outside? So let us assume that outside field are uniform. So the electric field outside, let us call it as E out, and it has to be constant intensity E naught, measured of course in volts per meter. Okay, and the direction of electric field is along horizontal line. Okay, and again I have electric field outside of the slab as directed horizontally, and its magnitude is E naught volts per meter. Now what can I say about electric field inside? Well, all I can say about electric field inside the dielectric is stands for field inside the dielectric, and then P is the polarization vector for dipole moment density, right, and that would be D vector would be 1 plus susceptibility times epsilon naught E, and susceptibility value is 1.1, so it will be 2.1. So fellow will be 2.1 epsilon naught E, right, with the approximate measurement unit. Now if you ask, well, you are given what is dielectric field outside, what is electric field outside the material, and what stop you for finding the electric field inside the material? The answer is, I know how electric field inside is related to polarization and D vector. I know how the electric field vary outside, but I do not know to relate these two things. I do not know how to relate electric field outside to the electric field inside, and to obtain that relationship we need to understand boundary conditions. Okay, so you understood why we need boundary condition, right? We need boundary condition in order to connect electric field outside of dielectric to the field inside of dielectric. It is not just one dielectric. You could imagine that there are 10 or 15 of slab of different dielectric material that we could be putting in, or we want to find out electric field between the mediums in one dielectric to the medium in another dielectric field, air being the very specific type of dielectric material. So we can also consider with air as one special dielectric material. We are looking at air to dielectric, then dielectric to air, and dielectric to dielectric medium relationship, and that can be obtained by looking at boundary condition. Now here is a point about boundary condition. Most boundary would not change arbitrarily. We will considering boundary condition to be changing arbitrarily. We say that, well, for x less than a, let us assume all it is free space. X greater, or even x is equals to a onward, there is certain dielectric field or material. Now clearly that can't be true, because there has to be some transitional layer between the air to the dielectric that we are considering, and we can't consider this transition layer to be zero in practice. I mean zero in theory. However, in practice the transient layer is only a few atomic width. few atomic layers, the material property will change, and therefore in practice we are able to consider the transitional region to be very small, that we can eliminate it and consider an arbitrary boundary change. Value of material property would change arbitrarily from one point to another point, although we do not know that they can't be really changed that fast. Okay, but this is very good approximation. We will see that approximation, and we will look at what is the field inside and outside of the material, assuming these arbitrary boundaries conditions. Sometimes these are called jump boundary conditions. So you are jumping from one value to another. That do we means by boundary condition. Let us place 2 points. We do not worry about these 2 points. Suppose I am just placing 2 different points. Let us place point 2, two of them as 1 and 2, and you take point 1 to be inside one dielectric material and point 2 be on another dielectric material. Now this is fundamental geometry, which says that between any 2 points you have a line, right? And I consider any 2 points and draw a line, and this is not a straight line, but that should essentially to be straight line like this. Okay, and it is also a geometric fact that for any line that I consider between 2 points, I can actually have a plane, correct? So there would be a plane, as simple as that, right? So you take 2 points, form a line. A plane would be bisecting the line in half. This plane between 2 dielectric material is bisecting a line in half. So this is my plane. Okay, so on this plane I have considered 2 points, point 2 and point 1, which the plane is actually separating. So this is plane if I now consider to be boundary between 2 mediums. This plane, this red one, to be boundary between 2 mediums, then I can denote property of second medium by giving its relative stability epsilon 2 and the relative stability of medium 1 as epsilon 1. Now I have electric field inside first dielectric medium. I have electric field inside the second dielectric material, and these two are not same. Please note that. Okay. The question is, what would be the relationship between two? Can they be simply equal to each other? Well, you will see very soon that they can't be exactly equal. Also, I have not specified what field I am considering. These two are electric field that I am considering. So I call this as E1 and this one as E2, and these can't be equal. Then there is essentially no medium in between if they are equal. Because if I consider both materials are of same permeability, obviously there is no medium then. So you can't have E1 equals to E2. The relationship need to be defined. Now E1 can be broken up into 2 parts. So I can break up into 2 parts, one component in parallel to the plane and the other component perpendicular to the plane. So these parallel component is called, these parallel components are called tangential component, tangential to the plane that is separating the two medium, and the component of the perpendicular is some sort of point which is coming out of the plane in is the normal component. And you can do the same thing for both electric field inside one medium and inside second medium. So you will have tangential electric field and normal electric field. So you will actually have tangential in medium 1, you will have tangential medium in medium 2, you will have normal in medium 1 and normal in medium 2, and we want to relate these. Now we can relate these fields by using line integral E dot dl to be equals to 0. Okay, and to do that, let us imagine the line to be a width of delta w and height of delta h, and the path that I am considering over here, and let me locate the path to be in this direction. So path in this direction. Now inside the material with dielectric 1, okay, so this is inside and this is my outside, I mean the second medium is dielectric 2. An electric field, tangential electric field, that would be these along this path. Along this path is my tangential field. Okay, T E 2T, and inside I'm having E T1. Okay, and delta H would be half. It's half because its plane is dividing my lines in half. I'm considering line width to be delta H. Along delta H, there would be half of E normal 1 and E normal 2. Okay, and delta H by 2 is there, here also delta H by 2. Okay, so they will be multiplied by delta H by 2. So to this path, if I apply this line integral expression, so this side will cancel the another side normal components, so I left with E1 tangential minus E2 tangential, both multiply with width is equals to 0. Okay, so the term that contain delta H will be the normal electric field, and this is tangential electric field. Okay, so now if delta H is approaching to 0, so the term corresponding to delta H would goes to 0, and I keep delta W as non-zero. This would indicate that the tangential electric field cross the two dielectric medium must be continuous, and that should be equal. Now we have found out the relationship for tangential electric field, that allow us now to write down the expression for D field. So the tangential D field can be related to tangential electric field in medium 1 by permeability of that medium, similarly for second medium. And I can write down these equations in, I can put in this equation. So I will get D1 tangential by epsilon naught is equals to D second tangential in second medium by epsilon 2. So tangential components are equals to respective permeability. The ratio of D field in medium 1 to medium 2 must be equals to corresponding permeability ratio epsilon 1 and epsilon 2. Okay, so out of the vectors that we have obtained E tan 1 and E tan 2 relationship. So if I know one of the field, I can find the other field. If I know permeability value, I can also find out D tan 1 and D tan 2. So now electric field E and D field vector in one region I can find out the electric field in another region. I still have to find out the normal electric field because every vector will have tangential as well as normal electric field. Okay, so now I will find out normal electric field. Well, for that I will use Gaussian law in integral form. Gaussian law in integral form states that the closed surface integral of d field is equals to total volume charge that is enclosed in the volume, and this is volume integral and this is surface integral, not any volume integral. It is a volume that is enclosed by surface. Okay, so as before I have taken two mediums. Now I will imagine drawing a small box whose surface area is delta S. The top and bottom have a surface area delta S, and the normal to these surface would be pointing along two different directions. They would be oppositely located. This is the medium 2, this is the medium 1, and now the tangential electric field in top and bottom would not contribute anything. Okay, so tangential will not contribute anything. This tangential and this tangential. Only the normal component of d field will contribute to something. So let us first blindly write down the left side. If I write down the left side, I get d normal 1 into delta S minus d normal 2 delta S, and this negative sign indicate that delta S, the normal to the top and bottoms, are in opposite direction, correct? So which one is negative, which one is positive is not very important. It is just these two are opposite in nature, that is important. This is opposite to this one, that's all is important. Now let us see what happened to the right hand side. So what is there in right hand side? If these two are perfect dielectric, then there can't be any free charge. What is the material that has free charge? That is conductor, and we do not have conductor here, so there is no free charge. So charge can be there. Can there be polarization charge? Can we have rho sp1 and rho sp2? For a uniform dielectric that we have considered, that will also not be true. So we will not have polarization charge also. So the only way where we can have the charge on the surface and hence the charge within the volume will be if someone deliberately take the charge distribution and place it at the boundary. Don't think that this would not happen. This will happen, okay? So someone take charges deliberately and placed on the surface. Only when there is such charge distribution deliberately placed, which will totally unbalance the charge balance equation, then the right hand side integral can be written as rho s delta S. Of course, this would be a volume charge, but like the volume charge can be converted into surface charge. Let us assume that this is volume charge distribution rho v. This must be multiplied by surface area and height, being height of the cylinder. Now if I take delta H to be approaching 0, what will happen to the right side box? So rho v into delta H delta S. So delta S is not going to be 0. Only the height of box is shrinking and shrinking. So we are putting delta H approaches to 0. So let us assume that this is volume charge density distribution, and this must be multiplied by surface delta S and height of cylinder. And if I take delta H tending to 0, what will happen to the right hand side? It would be converted into surface charge distribution. So the box height shrinks, delta H goes to 0. When you multiply a large quantity by a small quantity, you will end up with finite quantity, that is nothing but rho S. Rho S, the surface charge density, is actually limit of delta V as the box height shrinks. This is how you convert surface into line. Now you have surface that would look like this, and then you reduce the height of the surface and make it into line charge. You can reduce the line charge length to make it a point charge. Okay, so I can now safely replace this right hand side rho S delta S. There is nothing to do more. We have obtained a relationship between normal component delta normal 1 minus delta normal of second field must be equal to the total surface charge that is kept. So in case rho S is equals to 0, that would happen if you are not placing any charge deliberately, and these are perfect dielectrics. Then the normal component of D field will also be equal. Please note, it's very important. D tan 1 is not equals to D tan 2. Okay, and if you take total D field, only normal component of the field, which is normal component, would be equal, and tangential component would not be equal. That is very crucial. Okay, so across the boundary the tangential component could be different. So let us say that this is tangential component d tan 1 and d tan 2. Okay, whereas these are my normal component, would be equal, so that actual vector would be obtained by 1. So that vector will be having a tangential component, the normal component d norm 2, and this normal component of d1 will be this vector. Similarly, vector d2, this is the two different vectors of D field. So you will see that themselves D2 and D1 is not equal. Normal components are not equal. So you can see by themselves D2 is not equal to D1. Only the normal component of D1 is equals to each other when these tangential components are not equal to each other. Similarly, similar things will happen for electric field also. Why? Because normal component of D in medium 1 is equals to normal component of medium 2. But how D and E are related? By permittivity conditions. So this means this E norm 1 denotes the normal electric field in medium 1 times epsilon naught and epsilon r is equals to epsilon naught 2 E norm 2, which means the ratio of normals of electric field in medium 1 and medium 2 must be equals to epsilon 2 by epsilon 1. So I have E normal 1 and E normal 2 is equals to epsilon 2 by epsilon 1. So now I have got all the relationship that is necessary in order to solve your previous problem. So remember what problem was. So in first slide we placed a Teflon. We said electric field outside of the slab is uniform, directed horizontally. Its value is E naught volts per meter. I didn't know what is the field inside, but now it is very easy for me to find the inside field. So Teflon slab permittivity is 2.1 and susceptibility is 1.1. And just to jog your memory, the electric field outside is uniform with E naught directed along horizontal direction. Then electric field outside of Teflon, also it is essentially the same electric field. It was going inside. So uniform electric field with a strength of E naught volts per meter. What about inside? So now look at this lower boundary, and in this boundary the electric field is coming in normal. What would happen to normal of D field at this boundary? The normal field here, you will get epsilon naught E naught. That should be normal D field. Normal electric field here that you are getting will be epsilon naught E naught. What would be the normal D field inside? That should be equals to epsilon naught E naught. What would be the, so correct, because dN1 is equals to dN2. Okay, what would be tangential component? Unfortunately, there is no tangential component. It is only the normal component that I have. And epsilon naught and E naught is the normal component of D field outside the, and that must be equals to the normal component of D field inside. Okay, so this fellow D in and this is D out. So both being normal to each other, they will also be equal to each other. What happened to the electric field? Well, the electric field outside is E naught directed horizontally. What about electric field at the boundary? Well, there is no tangential field continuity for me to find out the relationship. So I have to go back to the relationship between D in and E in, right? So the relationship between D in and E in is E in is equals to D in by divided by E Teflon. Okay, so epsilon naught and T R, relative permittivity. Okay, so this is 2.1. These two will get cancelled, so you will get 0.76 E naught of electric field volts per meter. You can similarly find out polarization, inside polarization, and I will leave this as an exercise to show that it is 0.524 times E naught. Epsilon naught also is there. So you can find out this one by relationship between D and E in. Okay, so we have looked at the expression of electric field, and we will now look at another material called conductor. So we'll stop here considering dielectric, and we will move on to a new material that we want to consider in a little bit of detail called as conductor. So that's all for today's lecture. Thank you.